Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Brittany,
Hi, Maria.
and this is the Be More podcast.
Hi, everyone. If you can't tell, Brittany's tired, and if you're
I
watching, she's not in her usual spot right now.
must sound like the most inconsistent psychopath when people listen like to multiple episodes in a row. Because like one episode I'm like, and then next episode I'm like, and then I'm like just writing
I
the.
mean, same here. Like, I don't think it's a surprise anymore if there's recurring listeners here.
At least you guys know that we're not faking anything, and we then show up as real human people, or not trying to put up any facade. Because there's that lack of consistency there.
Exactly. So, um, we're gonna wing it again this week, I think.
Amen.
We were supposed to talk about dreams. I don't know if you didn't listen to last week's episode. We were gonna talk about dreams, but that's not happening today. I don't think we didn't do any research on
No
dreams.
preparation.
No preparation at all. I did have a dream last night, but I can't remember it. So story of my life.
That's crazy. I haven't
Yeah.
been remembering my dreams lately. I've been sleeping well, but not really remembering my dreams.
At least you're sleeping.
Yeah, that's true.
um. Yeah, I don't know what do you want to talk about? We'll start there. Is there anything that you want to talk about?
Can you explain the superstition to me that you were telling me about? So I told Maria
Oh,
before we started recording that I bit my tongue. I haven't bit my tongue. There's been a lot of things happening lately that haven't happened in a long time. I got a really bad migraine the other day where I felt like my brain was going to split in half. And then I
that's
also
nice.
bit my tongue. I haven't done that in a long time. And it's like one of those, not like a bite down, it's like one of the ones where you like bite and scrape across your tongue
Oh,
with like your two
gross.
front teeth. And
Yeah,
it's so bad and I can feel it like scabbing. But Maria said that there's a superstition about that I'd never heard of before.
there's a lot of Filipino superstitions about anything. But one of the ones is if you bite your tongue, obviously not like not on like on purpose, by accident or whatever, and it like hurts. Apparently that means someone's thinking about you. I don't know where that stems from. um,
Crazy.
yeah, I'm about to like literally look it up.
Isn't that like when you get ringing in your ear that someone's thinking about you?
I think so. That isn't a prominent one in the Philippines, but is it
I
in?
think it's like a prominent. I don't know if it's an American one or something that came from like my mother's Italian family, but I know I've heard that one a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of. I can go through Filipino superstitions if you guys want.
Okay.
Um, there's a few that I grew up with, and it's still like I still believe in them just because I grew up with them. The first one is if someone is uh eating, like if you're eating like dinner or whatever as like a family, and someone's still eating and everyone else is done, you cannot clean the table yet. Like you can't clear off the table because that otherwise they might end up like not marrying in this lifetime.
The person who's not done eating.
Yes, like if you clear off the table, like, and this is happen this happens all the time at my household, and we make fun of whoever's like not done eating. Like if I'm like the last one eating and like everyone else is cleaning up, they're like, oh, she's not gonna get married, stop cleaning. Like, so that's a very prominent one in my
That's
house.
crazy.
And I'm just like, no, go ahead. Go for it. So
That sounds crazy.
that's one. The biting the tongue is another. Um, another one. Again, I don't know where any of these stem from. Like I don't know like the history behind it, but it's a very like a common thing in the Philippines. Philippines. Um, if you drop a spoon, I think that's if you drop a spoon while you're eating, that means a girl is gonna come by, like come over as a visitor. If you drop a fork, then it's a male.
These are,
These are weird, aren't they?
first of all, connected to food somehow, which is not surprising to me, but also
Yes.
like, not connected to food at all.
Yeah, no, it has no like this has
They're
it ever
weird ones.
happened if like, a spoon or a fork has if if I drop something like nothing has actually happened. It's just a superstition that people believe that like you're going to have a visitor. Um what's another one? Um if someone's laying down on the floor or something and like you step over them, you know how people just lay on the floor. Just
Yeah,
lay on the floor. You
I'm
step
one of those
over
people.
them. Yeah, if you step over them and if they're a kid or just like in general, if you step over them, they won't grow anymore. Like they will stop growing.
These are cool ones. I like these.
Yeah. Um, let's see. There's a
They're so much
bunch,
more
man.
interesting and like exciting than so many other ones that exist.
Yeah. Oh, also another one.
And I feel like I only know so many that are like, if you do this, you get bad luck. If you do this, you get bad luck.
These are just random ones. Like the
These are just
Filipinos
like
have,
super
they're super out
specific
there,
things.
but they're
Yeah, have
super
been
out
out
there.
there.
But like, I don't know where they came from, or if like some random like in the past like I don't know what happened. Our pre-colonial days are all about mythology and like all this stuff. So maybe like back in the day, someone got cursed by a god or something, and like these are all
And
oral
God stepped
histories.
over them and they stopped growing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, um, oh, another one at the dinner table. If someone is leaving, like to go out, and there's people eating at the table, and this happens a lot, you're supposed to spin the plates. I think clockwise, because just in case, like it's good luck for you to like see out your journey. Because if you don't, hope like knock on wood, like it's a whole accident prone thing. Like if you don't, they might get into an accident.
Interesting.
We used to do that all the time when we would be eating dinner because my mom leaves around dinner time for work. We'd be like, all right, spin your plates, like she's leaving.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to help us feel like we have a semblance of more control of what happens in our
Of
lives,
mortality.
of
Yeah.
what comes out of it.
There's also another one where it's like you can't cut your fingernails or else like your this is my mom's spin on it. I think it's you can't cut your fingernails at night because your parents might die early. But I think it's just like someone's gonna die.
That's insane.
Um I can just rattle these off my head
I
because
know it's crazy. This is
now that
impressive to
I'm
me
like
that so many are just bouncing right out.
now that I'm like recalling a few from my childhood, like another one is so the fingernails, what else? Oh, you can't sweep the floor at night. It's bad luck, especially during New Year's Eve. Who's behind you?
This is now
Who is this
interesting.
Beezus? If anyone was watching, you just saw Beezus just like stare into nothingness. Oh, also, here's the second. I just remembered. There's the second part of like you biting your tongue. When you do
There's
bite your
two
tongue,
parts. I know.
there's the second part. I forgot. If you do bite your tongue, you're supposed to randomly choose a number between 1 and 26 because it's the number of letters in the alphabet, and whatever letter you randomly choose, the first one that pops up in your head, that's the first letter of the first name of the person that's thinking about you.
See, that would just spiral me off into places I don't need to be. So, so we're good. We are good. Yeah, I think superstitions are fun. I don't believe myself to be a superstitious person
Just a little
necessarily.
stitches.
Yeah, I'm not superstitious. I'm little stitious. Mini stitious. I just remember growing up and like the one that we see here all the time was like if you step on a crack, you break your mother's back. Remember that one like super
Yeah.
like vividly and like trying to like step over them. And then I remember as I started to get older and turn into kind of a jerk, I'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna step on this one on purpose to see if anything happens.
Because you just get curious at one point.
Yeah, because you're like, I do all of this to avoid it, and I want to just try it and see what happens next.
Yeah.
You want to know what one
Go ahead. Believe in?
I don't believe in it, but because there's fear behind it, and I don't know if this is a superstition or like a scary, I don't know what you would deem this. You'll have to give me some type of definitive category for it. But
Uh-huh.
you know how when they say that if you like look in the mirror and you say like Bloody Mary 3 times, like Bloody Mary comes and I
Yeah, those
still,
creepy ones. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, like I still have,
That's terrifying to me.
I still have, I only ever get like there at night because I'm just like a general afraid. Like I'm not, I have a lot of, I realize I'm generally a person who doesn't feel safe in the world.
Uh-huh.
So I have like when I mean I feel very vulnerable at night when it's dark, even if I'm in my own house, which makes absolutely no sense. Like Dan makes fun of me because I sleep with like a massive size kitchen knife folded up into a piece of cardboard in our bed frame, and
Well,
I
you never know,
with a
right?
Sharpie wrote Lifeline on the cardboard. Dan makes fun of me constantly. Um, but like I just generally don't feel safe. So at nighttime is when like all of those like rushing thoughts come in because you're you're half conscious, so like your brain just does terrible things. So when I go to the bathroom and I see the mirror, the first thing like it happens pretty often. I'll like get the thought of like, oh, Bloody Mary. Like,
No, I mean, like, I get it. Especially me living alone. I'm like, I should probably get like a bat or something. Like, you never
oh,
know. It's
Dan and Liz Lee makes fun of me because he's like, what are you gonna do with a knife if someone comes in and like has a gun or something? And in my mind, like if someone comes in and has a gun and I can't defend myself, like
yeah,
they suck and like there's nothing I can do. Like,
they suck.
but like if someone comes in, I was like, I'll just throw, and then I always my gut response is like, I'll just throw the knife before he can aim the gun and figure out where I am.
Just like dagger, just like throw
I
it.
actually okay. Wait, here's a question for you. So, would you be interested in taking
Oh
a
God.
self defense class with me
Um.
at like a boxing place?
Oh no. Like
Really?
like
Why?
I just feel like that's just like, you know what? It is what it is.
See, I do not feel that way. I want to be able to defend myself as needed.
No, that's fair. I mean, I have
And
no
there's a
interest in it.
place that
Is
like
there is there a place
there's like a
around us?
boxing place that said that they would, if I get like a group of women together, they would
Ah.
do like a self defense course.
Well, calling out the people that listen to us and are friends with us. Brittany's
Yeah,
looking for people.
come take the class with me. We can set it up.
How
I'm
many
super.
how many people?
I don't know. I don't think
You
it
just said a
matters.
group. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you said a group. Like if I can get a certain number. Uh, if there's anybody who's interested who would like to take a self defense class with me,
Uh-huh.
it's on. It's one of the things that like I recently just realized is something that I, again, as somebody who generally doesn't feel safe in the world, like I I would feel safer if I knew how to defend myself, right? Like it would
Yeah,
help me cover that base a little bit more. So
that's fair. Whereas I have superstitions from my Filipino childhood
I keep
to
you
keep
safe. That's good.
to
At
keep
least
me
something's
safe.
working.
And like, a weapon here and there in the house wouldn't hurt,
Yeah,
to be quite honest.
a lifeline. So they say. I
Yeah,
don't call it a weapon. It's a lifeline.
that's true. While you were talking, I just remembered a few superstitions and I Googled a few because I was like, is this real or did my family just make it up? They're real.
Uh
So I can rattle off a few more. You
oh,
can
go for
comment.
it.
The first one is whenever you attend a wake or a funeral, there's a thing called pagpag. And pagpag is like, if I can translate it, it's like dusting off or like, yeah, I guess dusting off or whatever. But you can't go straight home after these events because the spirits of like the deceased will follow you home. So you kind of like
Mm-hmm.
it. We say bug. It's like dust off like whatever you did, so they can go out in the world as opposed to you going straight home. Like they'll be out in the world instead. So that's week one.
So it's like
Because we were
the
talking about
concept of like tethering. Souls tether to physical things, and then the souls can wander.
wander exactly. So that's another one.
That was interesting.
It's very interesting. Um, Another one is siblings can't marry within the same year. It's called sukob in Tagalog. There's actually a really I watched it with my sisters and Ashley, and I'm such a wuss when it comes to like horror films. Um, but I watched it in theaters with my parents and my dad's cousin back in the day when it first came out, and it scared the shit out of me because I was very young. So I told them it's on Netflix. So if anyone wants a Filipino horror film called Sukob, um, and I recently watched it maybe like a year or two ago with again Ashley and my sisters, and I was still traumatized because I was so young and watching the movie theater, but it wasn't that scary in hindsight. But it's a big superstition clearly if there's like a recent-ish film about sukob
Yeah, really.
because um the issue is if siblings marry within the same year, someone is gonna die. Like someone in that family or all will die. It depends on how severe the
That's such like
sukob
a
is.
vague statement.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Die. Like,
Yeah, it's supposed to bring bad luck, obviously,
right.
with the two newlyweds, I guess within the year or something.
So fun.
Very fun. So
Nothing like a good old family curse.
seriously. Um there's a couple more that I can just rattle off. There's a bunch more, but my sister's birthday was this past week. The middle one, Erin. And you're supposed to serve pancit or like any type of long noodles at celebrations, especially like birthdays or whatever, to signify long life.
Hmm, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. So that's a good one, right? Like there's
Yeah,
this
I like
is
that.
always like you get to eat noodles on your birthday.
Right, win.
Um,
You want noodles.
there's a couple that I like kind of knew that these were superstitions, but not really. So one is like whenever you're going over to someone's house in the Philippines, you say tao po. Tao means person or people, and like po is like just a what is the word? It's like a respect word, one of those like filler words. Um, we kind of say that just to signify like, oh, someone's here, right? Like, like a person's here, like tao po. And that apparently relates to like um back in the day if someone knocked, it used to be like an elemental or like a what are they called? Like a not human thing, like one of those
Hmm.
mythological creatures. So like saying that signifies like, no, I'm human, like I'm not like some deity
Hmm.
out there that's
That's
gonna
like the
curse you.
idea of like a vampire must like you must allow a vampire to come into your house. They can't just come into your house.
Right, like
Like,
saying like Taupo is like, oh, like someone's here, as opposed to
right.
like a duende is like a dwarf, or like a aswang is like a like I can rattle off mythology creatures, but like just random like
I didn't know
deities.
there was
Like,
such a connection. That's cool. Do
yeah,
you believe in generational like family curses or blessings?
I think yeah, to an extent. I think with all these superstitions, I kind of like not have to, but like I wouldn't be surprised, if
Mm.
like there are familial generational curses in the Philippines, because like I feel like pre-colonial days, like we're all about the nature and like uh all the elements and like respecting the elements. Like there's another one literally as we're talking about this, there's like other things like if you're in a new place, I think, or if you're in nature, you kind of say tabi tabi po, which is like excuse me, like I'm passing through, just in case there's like duendes, like dwarves hanging around, like you don't want to step on them and like have a curse. There's so many, and they're still prevalent today, like to today.
Right.
So so yes, to answer your question, yes, I do believe in that,
That's interesting.
which it
Let's think about
contradicts, you would think contradicts the like
that.
Catholic religion.
Well, I mean, you're still having any belief in the mythical. I feel like there's a fine line, right? Like,
Yeah, of course.
so
Mm-hmm.
there's like this concept of like putting like a certain amount of money in like a car, in a new car for good luck that like Jews practice.
Yeah, a few people have. When I got my new car, well, not it's not new now, but like when I got my car like a year and a half ago now or whatever, people just throw money in my car. I'm like,
Yeah.
I guess that's a thing. I don't
Yeah,
do it. I
it
know
is.
of
It's
it. I know of
for
it.
luck. I don't know what
Yeah,
the stuff is behind it, but it is just very interesting.
superstitions that people have.
Yeah, they're super, and they're not necessarily. It's interesting that they're not related to religious practice. A lot of them, but
No.
still powerful. And I think it's a. If you think about, especially being a Catholic, right? You
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge and practice solely for the acknowledgement of like the single God, right? And like seeing and knowing and getting all your answers from that
Mm-hmm.
being. But when it comes to superstitions, you're playing with like a lot of other
Variables.
universal, huh?
Yeah, like variables. Just a lot of other
Right, a
like.
lot of other things that could be at play and influencing your existence beyond just that God. So it could be something that, and especially in Catholicism where you believe in one God, right,
Mm-hmm.
that comes into play in three different forms. But if you look at like Hinduism, for example, and like a lot of the philosophies behind like yogic practice, there is a lot of they believe in a lot of different gods and they believe in a lot of different
Mm-hmm.
beings that are not just even in Greek mythology. There's a lot of other beings beside the ultimate being, and
Mm-hmm.
they still have a play in what goes on, and you still have to abide by their rules. Because if you think about it, right, like we're the bottom of that totem pole, like being on
Yeah.
just I don't know why this just makes me think of Hercules and the story of Hercules, especially like the Disney version, right? Like
Yeah.
you are less than. Like as a human or
Yeah,
as a muggle, you are less than indefinitely out of all of the versions of creature. Well, it's weird. Of creature with emotional capability. Maybe that's like the differing thing.
I think just like supernatural.
True. That's true. Yeah.
That I feel like a bunch of just going back to the Filipino superstitions, like it's all supernatural stuff that we can't see unless we piss them off,
Yeah.
and we don't want to piss them off.
Yeah.
Kind of like a god. You don't want to piss off a god.
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
crazy. I thought of a couple more in my head. See,
Go
there's
for
like
it.
hundreds of them that I can like in like every minute detail of life. Like there's a superstition in the Philippines.
That would make me an absolutely more absurdly anal person than I already.
Yeah, like you're trying to just like keep in line with the gods. Let's not do this or let's not get bad luck
Yeah.
because of XYZ. And also like it depends on the region too. I feel like there are very common ones across the islands, probably, most likely. And then there are ones certain from certain regions. And my parents are from two different regions. So it could just be a mix
Mm.
of my upbringing that there are regional differences and I just know a bunch. Um, Another one is like if you have a newborn baby or like an infant or like, a toddler or whatever, and you what is the word? You like go over and go see them and like you're kind of like fond of the kid and you're just like, oh my god, like let me go like carry the kid and whatever. You say something called like pwera usog before you do it. You kind of it's like usog is like a thing where it's like I'm not trying to get this kid sick, just in case like
Mm.
I'm very like affectionate of this kid. Like I don't want some like weird illness to like come over them. So
It's
we say
interesting that
that.
there's so much like that it's clear
Mhm.
that like Filipino culture believes in the power of speaking things because a lot of the things that you're saying
Yeah.
are involving like you speaking
You
something.
have to speak something out into the world.
Yeah.
It's like
What's
manifesting, like, let's
funny,
not do this.
the thing that when you started talking about kids, so there is this Italian superstition that if you put a cat in a bassinet with a baby, it will eat the baby's soul. Like it will condemn the baby's soul. So like
What?
my oh yeah. Oh, I know it sounds really crazy. But like my apparently like my grandmother, well my great grandmother, my mother's grandmother was like really afraid of cats. Like there was like an anti like no
It's a
like
cat.
cats situation because they are like connected with demons and being demonic and are evil souls. This is what happens when you end up being a complicated creature. Everybody just wants a demon.
Everyone just thinks it's like a
You're a
demonic thing.
demon.
Makes sense.
But I remember like being afraid, like when people in family would have like a new kid and they add a cat, like my mother would freak out like, don't let the cat like the cat's gonna suffocate the baby or the cat's gonna like suck the baby's soul and like here. Oh man.
Those are, I mean, it's funny to think about. Also, I'm sure like people listen to me say all this. It's like, damn, Filipinos are super like that's
Yeah.
weird. Like why? Like, but also I grew up with this. So I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I do that, or else, another one is like whenever there's a big celebration, like you put food, and this is more of like a, I don't know, I guess it's a generation thing. You put food out, like a plate of food out for your deceased ancestors, for them to
Mm-hmm.
also celebrate with you. So like,
Yeah.
they're good and bad superstitions, I guess. There are also weird ones like I can't sleep when my hair is wet, or else I'm gonna go fucking crazy or blind. That's also superstition.
That one's fun. My mother used to tell me I couldn't go to sleep with my hair wet because I would get sick, but that goes to a whole another level.
Oh, they're like, no, you can't. You're gonna get sick and or blind. Um, that one's fun. Also, the cutting your fingernails at night is also
Yeah,
a
that
fun
one's
time.
intense. Clearly,
That
it's
one is
like
very intense. And guess what?
you're
I
not allowed to
don't.
do anything in the dark.
Guess what? I
You're
don't.
not allowed to do anything in the dark.
I don't.
I feel like I don't have any. There are no like hygiene superstitions. I feel like it's funny because then there's a very fine line between what's a superstition. Like there's so much probably blurred lines between what's a superstition and then what becomes like a family practice or a family value, and then like
Mhm.
generations into the future you're like, oh, I've been practicing this because it's like a tradition in our family and something we have to do, and then you come to find out like it's based off of a superstition that was like hundreds and hundreds of years old, and you're like,
Right.
cool.
Right. And it's
What
like,
who I am.
and like I No, it's a super like a cultural thing because there are other Filipinos outside my family that practice the same thing.
Hmm.
But we don't know why. Especially
Right.
like the Phil Ams that are like in the diaspora, like we're just like, yeah, our family taught us not to do this, so we don't do this for XYZ.
Right. That's crazy.
It's fun. There's just so many different rules in my head. I'm like, oh, I can't do that, or like, yeah, this is fine, or like I have to do this. Especially when I'm in the Philippines, more
Like,
so there, obviously.
oh
But
yeah, because it's on your radar. Your feelers are up. I don't
it's
really
based
remember.
on mythology, honestly, because there's a bunch that are about like
Oh yeah, there's a lot
mythological
of,
creatures.
and that makes total sense because like this the Hindu stories and mythological stories that I've read are all somehow connected to some type of superstition or some type of practice to like there's always a tragedy, right? There's always a moral to the story and there's
Yeah.
always like a practice that you should follow
Hmm.
that helps you to avoid having to go through the same fate.
Right.
Some of them, I mean, a lot of them do tie back to like the limbs of yoga, but it's so easy to walk the line of like this is a superstition,
Hmm.
it really comes down to what you believe.
Yep. They're interesting, to say the least.
Oh, totally.
Humans are funny though, that we like abide to all these random,
I mean,
random things.
it's not that surprising. I feel like we're easily influenced creatures.
Yeah, especially if it's like a generational thing that's just
Yeah.
passed down from your, grandparents or whatever.
Yeah. I want to look up what like the top 10 most common. I'm going to search.
You'll search while I rattle off a couple more that I just remembered while reading an article. Um, if you're giving a wallet or a purse or something as a gift, you have to put money in it. I don't know if that's like a Filipino thing or just a general thing.
Hmm.
If you have an itch on your palm, like if your palm starts itching, that means wealth is coming your way.
Ooh, yeah. Wait, is yours one side? Because I always get told if it's your right hand that you're getting or
You're
not.
getting is it you're getting and you're leaving and something's leaving, like your money's
Yeah, and
leaving
the
it.
other one.
So
Yeah.
then it must be a common one. Because that's also
June
something.
2015. It's so frustrating. I mean, I'm happy that Google like allows you to look at the year on stuff now, but sometimes it's like super like it's like why
Hmm.
is stuff that's from 2015 even still coming up on the search? Like what the
Oh, you can't point your you'll see and this is actually real prominent in any Filipino, like in the Philippines or outside the Philippines. You can't point. You cannot point with your finger. You'll see a lot. You've seen my parents probably point with their lips, and me too. Like it's over there, and you'll point with your lip as opposed to your finger. Because if you
Hmm,
accidentally point to an elemental, like a deity or something, like they're gonna curse you. So that's why you see a lot of
fun.
Filipinos pointing with their lips.
I mean, see that, and that's the thing that was probably based in like it's rude to point. You know what I mean? So it's like don't do
Yeah.
it. Um, so interesting. This website from that published like a year ago
Hmm.
said that 65% of Americans would deem themselves superstitious.
Hmm.
83% believe they've experienced good luck, while only 50 say they've experienced bad luck. You want to know what's funny is I don't so much think it's like whether they believe in it or not. I think it's what you say, right? We going back to like the power of
Hmm.
words. If you say like I have bad luck, then like you're bringing yourself bad luck by saying that. Um,
Hmm.
okay, this is interesting. By state, are you ready? The
Yeah.
most
Sure.
common superstitions by state. Um, apparently in New Jersey, the superstition is like ladybugs are good luck.
Oh, I mean, we've heard that. I've heard that commonly
That's a
enough.
good thing because my mother keeps finding ladybugs in her house like
That's
every day.
good.
The time when she finds a new ladybug, I don't know where they're coming from or how they're surviving the dead of the winter. But
That's true.
Alabama's most common one is to throw salt over your shoulder,
Okay.
but they don't say why. I want to know why. Give me some reasons for that.
Yeah, like okay,
A
and does
lot of
that
states are
what?
salt over your shoulder. These are like
That's boring.
really boring. We're gonna search another one.
While I randomly tell you other ones.
Oh, this one's by Google.
By Google.
Like this is a whole thing on superstitions that came from Google. Okay, I want. Okay, this is a history of some superstitions. You ready for this?
Sure.
Knocking on wood. I totally do that one all the time. I say
I
that
do that. I
to
still
people
do
all
that.
the
Yeah.
time. So this is um a Celtic one. Um, this must be is probably one of the most well-known ones.
Mm-hmm. Like everyone
The
does it.
phrase um, are as varied as the cultures which use it. Okay, fun. Huh, this is interesting. With suggesting roots that the Indo-European and Celtic belief that spirits good and bad reside in trees, who could be either called upon for protection or chased away by knocking on their home, and others, particularly Christians, linking the practice to the
Mm.
magical power of the wooden crucifix.
God. Interesting. That's
Yeah,
rooted in so many things.
I mean, I would totally. Part of me kind of sees like the enchanted forest, the evil enchanted forest from like the Wizard of Oz with all those trees that throw apples. Like when you say like the spirits are in the trees, but I totally like spirits are the giver, like trees are the givers of life, right? Like I
Yeah.
totally could be like I would, and I would be considered a tree hugger in this respect, but like I totally would go like would talk to it. I remember when we were in college at the Rutgers
Mm-hmm.
Gardens.
Yeah.
If you like follow a path, like in like, you know how I'm one of those like weirdly talk about a person who doesn't feel safe. I tend to wander off into the woods by myself.
Yeah. Common occurrence. Yeah.
I feel completely comfortable in the woods. It's people I don't like. So there's like a spot where I would wander like through like a small path, and
Yeah.
there was a tree by this like little lake pond thing. Like I
Mm-hmm.
would go there and talk to it all the time, and I always felt like safe by that tree. So I can totally get behind that one. That one's, I mean, the connection to the crucifix is a little too much for me. Um,
If
interesting. Okay,
go ahead, go
go
ahead.
ahead. Oh, I was gonna
No,
do that one. Do you want to speak on that one more?
no, the whole crucifix thing. If you bring in like, especially Catholic religion for some reason, like, I'm somehow fine with the superstitions, like the Filipino ones that are about weird supernatural things, like mythology, if you will. For
Right,
some
right.
reason, like I'm fine with the natural, like there are things called aswangs that are like shapeshifters, and then
Hmm.
there's one called a capre, which is a tree. It's a tall ass guy that lives in a tree and just smokes all day. Like that's fine. I'll believe that. But then when you get the crucifix involved
Well,
and
apparently
like
a lot of
the
these like
devil,
everyday
that scares the shit
things
out of me.
are actually connected to religious practice, which is interesting.
Right, which is interesting.
So the next one is throwing salt over your shoulder.
Yeah, where's that from?
It says, similar to knocking on wood, the superstition also involves the ideas of warding off evil. In this case, the devil himself. In Leonardo, I didn't know this at all. In Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper, Jesus' betrayer, Judas, is
Has
portrayed as
salt is
having accidentally spilled his salt. Oh, I didn't know that.
there's like salt somewhere. I don't know if it's like behind or like there's
Since
salt
Judas was
somewhere.
associated with doing something bad, the argument goes that ipso facto, so was salt. Salt did something bad because of Judas. Throwing it over your shoulder would blind the devil waiting there.
Oh, okay.
So by you throwing the salt, you're saying like that's salt, and then you're blinding the devil. That's I didn't know that about that at all. I mean, I clearly haven't studied the Last Supper.
Yeah.
Um, Apparently,
Mm-hmm.
you're supposed to throw it over your left shoulder because that's where.
Oh. Okay.
Um, and then there's also the idea of like spilling salt leads to
Yeah.
bad fortune, and that's also connected to Judas's salt having spilled. And that I didn't know any of
I
this.
didn't know any of that was
Very
connected to
interesting to me.
Judas.
Um, I don't know. Do you know of a superstition about walking up a ladder? Oh no, no, it says oh no, it says walking under. I put
Under.
sorry,
I
I
was
was
like
like,
under, but
this
not
doesn't
up.
make any sense. I was like, you have to walk up a ladder. So this is a possibly Egyptian one. The superstition
Oh.
of not wanting to walk under a ladder also has their roots in Christian symbolism. The Holy Trinity of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit led to an association of the number three with something sacred. The triangle with its three sides came to be regarded as sacred as well, and a ladder, of course, forms a triangle. So naturally, to
Hmm.
walk under that ladder would be to destroy the sanctity of the Trinity and thus incur punishment. That's
Interesting.
also so interesting.
Yeah.
See, and it's funny because I could see, like I said, I could see there being a parallel between religious practice and superstitions. I just didn't know that like these are three major common ones that are all connected to that.
Yeah, I didn't know that was connected to religion, to be honest with you. all
See,
three of
but
those.
now that I know all of these things,
Yeah.
I don't want to believe in them anymore. I don't believe in them anymore, and I'm not gonna do it anymore. But except
That's
the
fun.
salt one, like I could still get behind that. You never know, and it might not be the devil. It could be like you said, it could be any of those creatures that are hanging out there. Just like throw some salt in its eyes, and it's not gonna bother you anymore.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one though, because that's like a geometrical, like the understanding of the pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I think the number 3 is like a recurring number in superstitions, or like
oh
13.
yeah, and I mean religious practices, like the whole
Yeah.
idea of Om and the power of three, and
Mm-hmm.
um, okay, this is one interesting. The broken mirror. So I have an issue with mirrors. Have I told you this before?
I mean, I also have an issue with mirrors, but you first.
So, and I think it's frustrating how when scary things happen in movies, they really sit in you, and how
Oh God,
unknowingly traumatized you get by them.
I
But
hate
I
horror films.
always have issues with mirrors that like I feel like something's gonna come out of them, or like I'm gonna look at myself and then I'm gonna go away and like I'm not have moved in my mirror.
Like in movies where literally like you move in a mirror, but the mirror itself doesn't move too as
Yeah,
quick as
yeah,
you. Like
yeah.
there's a second. Yeah. Oh
Like
God.
I 100%. If there is a portal to like another dimension, or if it was possible for you to use something, it's 100% a mirror.
That's where I. That's another Filipino superstition. Mirrors.
Mm.
You cannot have a mirror in your bedroom. You will never see me with a mirror in my bedroom because it's if that is the case, you'll either get sick or like that's a portal to steal your soul,
Yep, I
all
agree
that
with
stuff.
that.
So the mirror stays like in your bathroom, your living room, wherever, but not in your bedroom.
Yep,
That's so I'm like I will never have
that's
a mirror
apparently
in
where a
my
broken
bedroom.
mirror comes from, as I'm reading
Mm.
about ancient Romans. Um, it would bring bad luck and poor health, but if a mirror is cracked, it could allow something to come through. A death. Oh, that one's scary. You could allow something to come through and steal your soul.
Yeah, see, mirrors. I believe that
Okay.
because like mirrors are weird enough if you think about the science behind it, like the reflection and
They really,
everything.
and they don't make any sense. They
They
really
make no
don't make
sense
any
to me.
sense.
Like
Like I
the
understand the
creation of a
science,
mirror,
right?
the
I
creation
get
of a
it.
mirror just does not make sense to me. So you would think the creation of the very first mirror, everyone's
Yeah,
like the devil is behind this,
yeah. And I'm
the
totally
literal
like,
devil.
it's I can understand glass. Like I understand how glass is made. I understand the compression idea. I can't get to the point of like it being enough and being shiny enough that it becomes it. No, yeah, mirrors don't make any sense to me.
Nope.
Um,
They will never make sense to me.
Apparently, this whole step on the crack you're break your mother's back is also connected to the fact that if you step on a crack, um, is to
Mm-hmm.
invite or release unwelcome spirits into the world to do harm.
Oh,
That's a fun one.
interesting.
Okay, I don't believe in lucky horseshoes, do you? Should have
No.
been more comfortable on the. Oh, okay, Friday the 13th. Hey, hey, hey. Um, what I know what's really funny is that the numbers 7 and 13 are not good lucky numbers, and my birthday is 7/13.
My favorite number is 7, so like,
I
and
know,
that's
it's just like hysterical.
it's fine.
So, like the number 7 for the Romans, magical significance has been attached to the number 13. Oh, so it might be good magic. We'll take it. But this
I've
time,
heard it
just
depends
like
on. I feel like it depends on the culture because like sometimes 13 is a good number.
so the number 12 is a positive sign based on like the number of like the 12 month, the 12 zodiac signs, 12 days of Christmas, 12 tribes of Israel. Um,
Mm-hmm.
this is also connected to the Last Supper. The 13th is also seen as an unlucky because the great betrayer Judas was the 13th member of the dinner party that led to Christ's crucifixion.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, so then I don't have to worry about that anymore. So cats have been associated with good luck. So clearly the Italians just got that wrong.
Something was up in
Um,
Italy at some point about cats.
yeah, someone did not have a good luck.
Someone did.
It's probably just in my family. Someone, you don't know what it was. Someone probably left a window open and a cat probably got in the house and just scared the shit out of all of them.
And they're like, no more cats ever.
Oh no, this is why. Again, guess what? It's religious practice. Even though they were worshipped as gods in Egypt,
Mm-hmm.
black cats around the sometime in the Dark Ages, around 1232 AD, Pope Gregory the Ninth declared them an incarnation of Satan.
Of course. You get a pope to say anything.
And then, well, the Italians are going to listen, so this now makes more sense now. Things only went downhill for black cats from there. When people of the Middle Ages started, oh, that's so sad, burning them in bonfires on holy days.
Of course.
Like the first day of Lent and Easter. Oh my god. Oh, Hunter. I'm so sorry, buddy. Your siblings and ancestors. And they got connected to Americans and Puritans, connect them to the practices of witchcraft. Also, the color black has long been associated with evil and the death, which didn't help matters for our furries friends who had the misfortune of being born the color of the night. Aww.
It's messed up.
That's so sad.
They just wanted a scapegoat for whatever.
Yeah, really.
To like get their anger out on the devil, they just pick the black cat.
Just like can't.
People are wild.
A lot of these, but those are like the most common ones.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these I've never heard about. Oh, itchy palms. We were both talking about itchy palms.
Yeah.
Itchy palms is actually something that came from the Caribbean.
Cool.
So depending on which palm of yours begins to itch, you may find yourself in the Caribbean with a bit of extra spending money or in the red. It's common belief that an itchy left palm means you will owe someone money. An itchy right palm means money is coming your way. There's an explanation that might tell us why a distinction. The left hand seems to hold the passive energy and the right hand active energy, which symbolically explains the incoming and outcoming of money. These are interesting. I didn't know that one's from the Caribbean. I wonder where that one came from.
Yeah, I don't.
That was fun. Little trip down.
My
I mean, it's crazy because now some of the top 3 ones that we talk about every day stems from some type of religious belief. You knock on wood because the crucifix was made out of wood, and you believe that trees are going to be there to help you ward off bad spirits, and you throw salt over your shoulder because Judas was a clown over the salt. And now the salt has a bad connotation.
Yeah.
And black cats just got scared because the Pope deemed them Satan. So
yeah, hey. Great. And a bunch of the Filipino ones, which I already knew about, were about, mythology and elementals, really.
So interesting. Sorry, Gunter. My poor little black cat. All his ancestors
were thought of as the devil. Poor thing.
Yeah. I mean, there are moments when I look at my cats and I'm like, you know something I don't know.
And I don't want to know.
Yeah, I don't want to know. I definitely believe that, like, cats, and going back to, like, the stuff that you said that, like, we don't have the capability of seeing, they definitely have the capability of seeing. They have, like, a spiritual
third eye.
Yeah, ability that we don't have.
Do you believe in third eyes? Not to get off topic. Or, like, because we're wrapping up.
I believe in having additional senses, and I believe in being able to tap into that spiritualness. But a third eye, in terms of what? In terms of being able to...
Spirits. Ghosts.
Like, see, stuff. Like, all of that, like,
the supernatural.
Connect with all of it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's impossible.
I would say it's a possibility, right?
I just think that it's something that people really have to hone into, and it's a skill that has to be developed like anything else.
True. If you're not open to it, you're not going to ever open one.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, and my mother has definitely had, like, interesting, we've talked about in a previous episode, like, my instances with deja vu, and, like, how I feel deja vu is definitely, like, there's something else going on there that I don't
glitch
understand.
In the matrix.
Yeah, but I definitely have had interesting experiences where there have been places that I've gone to and I've definitely felt something, and it's like a weird kind of feeling in my stomach. Yeah, it's like there's something. So I definitely believe it's possible. I just think that, again, humans are nothing compared to all of those types of beings. So I feel like it's something that we don't have access to fully being able to understand because we don't have anybody who could show us.
For sure.
But I don't think it's impossible. I think that skill could be honed. I think the further we get into the technical worlds and demands of needing it, the more disconnected we're going to be from it until the rapture happens, until we get punished for it. But I don't think it's impossible. I think it's totally possible. And I want to believe that it's possible that humans can be more than just human. It's just that we have to be able to bring ourselves to that understanding and want to tap into that in order to access it.
Fair enough.
Do you believe in all of it?
My ancestors are telling me, yeah. Something's out there.
Yeah.
There are places in the Philippines I'm like, yeah, man, like, nah, there's shit there. like
Yeah.
like it's so still prominent in 2022. Like there's shit out there in the forests and the, you know, wherever else.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't have much knowledge about Filipino mythology, but there are so many things in pop culture that like, and I'm listening to a podcast now about Filipino mythology. I'm like, damn, like this is where everything stems from, huh? Like one episode, maybe I'll do my research and bring it to the table.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would not be surprised. I just don't, to the extent of us being able to like be magicians. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like to this,
Yeah.
that kind of practicing magic. That's,
Witchcraft,
I don't know if
you
I
will.
would fully believe that we would have. I don't think our bodies would have the capability to influence matter. If that makes sense, like
Yeah, that makes sense.
making things appear and disappear and, but I mean, even to the extent of like, if you look at our relationship with animals, right? Like when I look at Beezus and like I say like come here bees, like,
Mm-hmm.
and he responds and he comes to me, like that's not happening on accident. You know what I mean? Like, and we don't have a way of actually communicating. Like it's another level of something that's connected. And like they like especially with animals with like your vibes and your energies, I think that if we were able to really build a full awareness to be able to play with our own energies and influence energies around us, for sure. I don't think that would be impossible at all.
Yep. Same. That's all I got.
Think about, but and I don't think I would want to believe that whoever is whatever our higher being is, they've seen what we've done with like, you know, all like the practices of like I will give you life and I will give you like friends and I will give you this and I will like we are granted the things that we're capable of and then we have to prove that we're able to use them for good. I don't think that anytime soon or possibly ever in our existence before we blow ourselves up that we would be granted full ability to just have that. I feel like it's something that you know what I mean? Like we would
Yeah.
we're not there
You can't
yet.
trust humans.
We haven't earned that as just like a rite of passage. It's something that has to still be earned and honed in and used for good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm Yep.
This is a whole episode.
I mean, I just start off with superstitions and went
I hope
to,
you
you know,
learned something cool. I learned something about superstitions.
I hope, yeah. If any Filipinos out there are listening, Phil-Ams or whoever in your in the diaspora, have any more Filipino superstitions that I forgot to cover, let us
That
know.
you live by.
Yeah, there are a bunch.
Well, now I know better than to use. I'm not going to use any of. I will not be bestowing any of the ones that we talked about today onto my children because I understand where they come from now, and I will try to be blocking them out of my life. So it's like
Okay.
most things, right? Like you don't. We use superstitions mostly as a way to cause fear, right? You either do it because you don't want something bad to happen, or you do it because you want something. Most of them are because you don't want something bad to happen like that. I can't think of one where you're like doing it because you hope, where you're like, oh, this is for good fortune. There aren't as many of them. So it's like most things, it's just another backhanded way to make a rule to make us act a certain way because we're in fear of something. So I'm okay with having less of those.
Fair enough. Makes sense.
Oh man.
All right, well, I'm done.
Me too. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to this interesting superstitious episode. Let us know if you have any additional superstitions, follow us on. Make sure you guys are following us on social. I feel like we don't talk about that enough.
Yeah, we just have the Instagram. Yeah.
Be More Podcasting.
Be More _ podcast.
Thank you. Be More _ podcast. Hang out with us there. You'll get extra insight on things that we talk about, and little behind the scenes look at stuff that we bring up during our episodes, as well as access to like all of our previous episodes. You can see little tips and little clips of them, and just make sure you're following us on social so you can always check up and don't miss the next episode.
Yup.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Don't be afraid of those superstitions, man. don't be afraid to do more and check your superstitions so that you can continue to live your best life.
Okay, bye.